science. Okay, I know this is also not usually how we have our science classes, but we will adjust and we will do things accordingly, and it'll be smooth sailing and we'll be great. Okay? So recently we've been talking about heredity. Okay? And heredity is probably a new concept for you guys. Okay? Anything that I've taught you before this has probably been the first time you've heard of it, but that's okay. You will definitely hear it in high school, so I definitely want to put the baseline to you guys, okay? So if you look and you go on your Google Classroom, okay, you should know how to do that by now, you will see that I uploaded a PowerPoint, okay, and that's what I'm going to use today a little later on after I'm done introducing the Google Classroom. So that'll be right here. It'll be under PowerPoints. Follow along notes. You do not need those today, but just they are there for you, okay? Resources and additional info. So I definitely want to point this out. So it's an Amoeba Sister video, which you guys all know that I love them, even though you think they're a little cheesy, but you definitely learned something from them. I'm sure you do. But this one's about Punnett squares, which is part of what we're going to be talking about today. So I would suggest watching that maybe after you watch this video. And then vocabulary, your vocabulary list, as always, do the next week. So let's start, okay? If you want to follow along, which I highly recommend, the PowerPoint is right here. So I'm going to click it open. Oh. And I'm going to make it full so you can see it. Beautiful. I'm going to move me. I'm actually going to make me smaller. There we go. Okay. So patterns in heredity. As we know, heredity, passing on genes and DNA, and we've talked about how DNA condenses and it wraps around these little proteins and it forms what we know as a chromosome, okay? So now we're going to start talking about what is on the chromosomes, right? So how does it have this information to make you look like you? You have blue eyes, you have brown eyes, you have big ears, you have little ears, I don't know. How does those little X's that we talked about, how do they make you look like you? Okay? So, first, let's think of, there's 3 questions that I want you to have in the back of your mind the whole time you're watching this video. Okay? You need to, after everything, if you need to pause it, that's fine. Pause it and say, okay, can I answer these questions yet? You will by the end of this video. All right, so the first one, what characteristics might be inherited? Which ones might be acquired? Okay? You don't know entirely what those words mean. Okay, so inherited kind of sounds like heredity, right? It's got the H-E-R. There's a hint. And acquired. The phrase that pops into my mind is acquired taste. That is a fancy way of saying you've learned to like something, okay? I'm a very picky eater, and so I definitely have to acquire a taste for something before I eat it. I'm sure some of you guys can relate. How do dominant and recessive traits determine how offspring will look? Okay, we've kind of hinted towards this, so dominant and recessive traits when we talked about DNA and how there's the different portions on it. And how are Punnett squares used to understand patterns of heredity? Okay, Punnett squares, we kind of, that's what the Amoeba Sisters video was about. But I'm going to introduce it here, and like I said, I highly suggest you watch that video. It's really cute. I think it's kind of funny. It's up to you. All right, so I am going to read this aloud to you. Okay, so if you want to take a second and close your eyes and imagine Jamie. Okay, so just imagine. Jamie is a 17-year-old senior at Lake Ridge High School. Jamie has blonde hair, unlike both her mother and father, who have brown hair. Jamie was never able to meet her either set of her grandparents and always wondered where her blonde hair came from. Jamie is a highly active teenager. She has been on a swim team since the 6th grade and has won many trophies for coming in 1st and 2nd place on her team. She plans to continue swimming in college. Okay, so your first thought might be, why are we talking about Jamie? Okay, your second thought might be, hey, Jamie kind of sounds like me. I have blonde hair. Jamie kind of sounds like me. I'm very active. I play football, I play baseball, I play basketball, whatever it is. Jamie might be just like you. Okay, so now that you have Jamie in your head, okay, imagine Jamie. Let's talk about these questions. Okay, As always, if you would like to jot down answers just beforehand, because right now we're not going to exactly know the correct answers, but that is okay. Okay? It's okay. In science, it's okay to have the wrong answer, do some research, and then fix your answer. It's totally okay. So, some things to think about, Jamie. Where did Jamie's blonde hair come from? Okay? If you remember, it says, where? Unlike both her mother and father who have brown hair, her mom and her dad have brown hair, she's got blonde hair. Where did that come from? What are some possible explanations? Okay? If you're like me, my first thought was, is she sure that those are her parents? But alas, I can tell you that they are. Okay, our imaginary Jamie are her parents. So where did this blonde hair come from? Okay, so if you want to pause this video, take a couple minutes, think, what you've heard about DNA, what you've heard about chromosomes in the past couple of weeks. Why would she have something different from her parents? If Jamie were to have if Jamie were to have siblings, would they have blonde hair as well? Why or why not? Again, you can pause this video, really think about it. So, Jamie has a little sister, a little brother. Are they gonna have blonde hair too? For sure? Where did Jamie's talent in swimming come from? Okay, remember we said that she's been swimming since 6th grade and she's now a senior, so that's, what, 7 years? And she's won many trophies for coming in 1st and 2nd. She's going to continue swimming in college. Quite the big deal. So where did that talent come from? What are some possible explanations? Was she born with it? Did she get it from her mom? Maybe her mom's an excellent swimmer too. I don't know. Well, we'll be able to answer those questions at the end of class. You can look back on your little note sheet that you wrote down the answers to, and you can say whether or not you were correct or incorrect. All right, so along with that theme of making predictions, especially in science, you make a prediction, you test it out, and then you can figure out, was I right? Okay, that's mostly what science is all about. Just contemplating, making predictions, testing them out, and then if you have to fix your prediction, that's totally fine. All right, so I'm going to have you can write this down again on your little sheet of paper. If you have a Word doc open or something, I'm not going to collect this or anything, but just to have in your mind, it'll help you kind of think through what we're about to talk about a lot easier. So this is if you agree with him or you disagree with him. Okay, so agree or disagree is what you would write down for number 1. So again, I will read it to you so you can close your eyes and imagine Fred. Okay. Fred is a fantastic artist. He loves to draw and was even commissioned by his town to design a mural for their downtown walkway. His inspiration in art is his mother, who is also an artist and is a cartoonist for the local newspaper. Fred believes his talent in art was passed on to him from his mother. Some things I'd like for you to think about as you're thinking whether or not you agree or disagree with Fred. So he's a fantastic artist, number 1. Okay? Number 2, mom, fantastic artist, I'm assuming. She's a cartoonist for the local newspaper. That takes quite a bit of talent to become. So Fred believes his talent in art was passed on to him from his mother. Okay? The last thing I want you to think about, passed on. What does that mean? Okay, think about patterns in heredity. Okay, the word heredity, what we've been talking about, chromosomes, DNA. We talked about mitosis a lot last year. What does it mean, passed on? Okay. So you can go ahead, you can pause this video, make your prediction. Do you agree with him? Do you disagree with him? All right, I'm going to move on to number 2. John and Marie are so excited. They are expecting a baby in January. John has blue eyes and Marie has brown. Marie's mother has brown eyes as well, but her father has blue eyes. Marie believes that her child will definitely have blue eyes. Do you agree or disagree with Marie? I know that's a lot of eyes that you have to keep written down. If you need to write it down, who has brown eyes, who has blue eyes, that's totally fine. But John, so father, has blue eyes. Marie, mother, has brown. Marie's mother has brown and blue. Okay, and she ended up getting brown. Okay. All right, and the last one, red flowers are dominant and white flowers are recessive. Okay, those are two terms that we've kind of touched on, but we will touch on later. There is a 5 by 10 yard or field. Oh, I'm sorry, 5 by 10 yard field that is completely covered in red flowers. This means that there are no white flower alleles in that field. Now remember, alleles, those are the little parts on the DNA that actually express something. Okay, so if you have on your chromosome, looks like a little X. On one part of it, this will be an allele that expresses your eye color, or how high you are, how tall you are, how much you weigh, stuff like that, or how much your metabolism, I should say. Okay, so this means that there are no white flower alleles. That means that there are no alleles on the part of the chromosome that will express white flowers. Okay. Now, we've kind of touched on dominant and recessive, but not too much. But think about what it means to you when you hear the word dominant. Okay. When I hear the word dominant, I think of like dogs, or the dominant, or wolves or something. The head of the pack is the dominant one. And then recessive, don't think of recess, okay? It's not exactly it, but recessive. So if you recede into yourself, right? That's what I imagine, kind of curling up into yourself, okay? So go ahead and make those predictions, whether or not you agree or disagree with Fred, Marie, and the statement about flowers. Okay, and we will come back to this, so please make sure you keep that little sheet of paper or your Word doc or whatever it is. All right, so now let's get into the nitty-gritty of things and what the heck we're talking about. Okay, we talked about Jamie, we talked about Fred, we talked about John and Marie, we talked about flowers, and we made some predictions. So now let's kind of test those predictions out and learn a little bit about what we're trying to figure out. Okay, so inherited versus acquired traits. So inherited traits, those are from your parents, okay? So think of right now an inherited trait that you got from your parents, okay? Think of your mom. What color eyes does she have? Do you have the same colored eyes? Those are inherited traits. So your eye color, those will be inherited. You get those directly from your parents, okay? It doesn't matter if you live in the desert for the rest of your life. It doesn't matter if you live in the Arctic for the rest of your life. You have blue eyes, you've got it from your parents. Going to stay that way. Versus acquired. Acquired are acquired throughout your life. Okay, you get them throughout your life. So, for example, this cute little boy, he's riding a bike. Do you think he was born that way? Okay, when mom and dad brought him home from the hospital, do you think his first thing was to get on a bike and just cruise? No, he acquired that trait. He learned how to do it. Okay. That's another word for those types of traits. You can call them acquired or learned traits. Okay? How to write, how to read, how to ride a bike, how to walk, right? We are not born. We get those. They're not exactly from our DNA. We don't get those from our parents. Unlike eye color or skin color or hair color or height, something like that. Okay? It's pretty simple, right? Inherited, acquired, cool. All right, dominant and recessive. So now we're going to get into a little bit, you might not exactly know what these terms mean. It gets a little bit more complicated. Okay, kind of with myself. So what I like to think of is the lion versus the mouse. Okay, so the lion, look at this beautiful picture of the lion. Me personally, I guess I kind of want to pet him, but but in real life, if he was right in front of you, would you, I mean, maybe some of you, if you're like a cat lover, you'd want to pet him. But you'd be kind of scared, right? He's big. Have you look at these paws, right? They're huge, about the size of your face. Okay? He would definitely have the upper hand in a fight, right? If you had to duke it out with him, he would definitely, I'd say he would win. He would win against me. I don't know about you guys, but he would definitely win against me. So he would be the more dominant in a fight, right? Between you and him, he would dominate. Okay? Versus a mouse. Now look at how cute this little mouse is, okay? He's so cute and he's small and look at his little hands and his little eyes, his little ears, right? He's very small and just timid and Have you ever heard that phrase, timid as a mouse, right? Very shy, okay? I would not like to think of these two fighting, so I'm not going to. So let's talk about the words dominant and recessive, not in an animal sense, but in more hereditary sense, like we're talking right now. So a dominant gene is always going to be expressed, okay? It's kind of like the big brother, like, oh, yeah, I'm always going to be expressed, okay? And the recessive is only expressed if two are present, okay? So they have to have kind of like their friends behind them, okay? They're kind of shy. They're like, ooh, I got to have backup, okay? What does this look like in real life? So the individual B would be considered the allele, or you can call it the gene, but I'm going to call them the allele, okay? So the capital B is for the purple allele, okay? The purple allele, that means that it's going to be a purple flower. The lowercase b is the white allele, so it's a white flower, okay? Now let's look. These are two capital B's, two dominant guys, right? The capital guy is dominant, he is, you know, in charge, large and in charge, okay? So what color is the flower? Purple, just like the uppercase says, it's purple. Now this one, they're both there. So think of it, there's in a room, a lion and a mouse. Who's gonna walk out of there? The lion, okay? Even though there is a recessive allele here, the lowercase white, what's going to be expressed is the purple, okay? Because he's dominant, he's kind of the bully, he's the lion, he's the king of the jungle, okay? Now, here, there are two lowercase b's, okay? They are both recessive, which means it's going to be expressed, okay? That's what I mean when I say that only expressed if two are present. So they both have to be there kind of giving each other backup for it to be expressed, okay? So this little image I found, I'll stop moving my mouse. This little image that I found kind of calls you back to maybe, what was it, John Marie, okay? So dad has brown eyes. Brown eyes are dominant, okay? Brown eyes are like the lion, the king of the jungle. Mom has blue eyes. Blue eyes are recessive. This is actually true. So if you have brown eyes, that's the more dominant allele. Now, I'm not saying that you are dominant, okay? Just your eye color is, yes. And then blue eyes are more recessive, so they're honestly a little bit more rare. Think about, I know we're in the classroom right now, but if you think about our class, look around and kind of think of what your friends look like, most of them probably do have brown eyes, okay? Not many of them will have blue eyes. Okay, so a mom and a dad, their offspring, their child, is going to have brown eyes. Why? Because that's dominant. If it's anywhere there, it's going to be expressed. If there is an uppercase B anywhere in this equation, it's going to be brown. Okay? We're not done with this yet, so if you're confused right now, please either email me some questions, type up some questions, or just hang on a second. Hopefully this will answer. All right, Punnett squares. Oh, let me move again. All right, Punnett squares. I'm not sure if you've ever seen this before. You might have seen it maybe in like a cartoon about science. Maybe it's just me that watches stuff like that. But Punnett squares, these are mostly visuals, okay? So think of something else that you use as a visual. Think of, if you can remember what my classroom looks like, I have that really big table of elements, the periodic table of elements. That's a visual, right? It kind of shows you, yes, hydrogen is over here. Let's see, oh, helium is over here. And you can see they're kind of far away, which means, maybe they're not exactly the same type of element, okay? So it's that visual, just kind of helps you out. Those of you who are visual learners, you know, you need pen and paper right in front of you. You need the picture right in front of you. You can't just like imagine it. I guess you could imagine it, but it's easier to see it with the visual, okay? This is kind of what that is. So what a Punnett square shows, so it's a visual of how parents' alleles might combine, okay? I'm going to skip that word for right now because that might be scaring you, okay? I know a lot of you don't love math, so skip that for a second. So, the allele. Now, isn't it just coincidence that it's a B? Just FYI. It could be a Q, it could be a T, it could be a X, it could be a Y, it could be a J. It could be whatever you want. I think they're just using the B's for, brown and blue. Make it easy, okay? So as I've said before, the capital B, that's the dominant, that's the brown eyes, that's the lion, okay? The lowercase b, that's the blue eyes, that's the mouse. It needs backup sometimes, if there was like a million mice against one lion. Now the tables have turned, right? All right, so what happens is this is a Punnett square. So you can put mom on this side, dad on this side. It can be reversed. Mom does not need to be here, and dad, it doesn't matter. It's up to you. It's just how this person has decided to show it. So what happens is mother has one dominant allele, okay? I am so sorry, I have allergies. Sorry. Mom has one dominant allele, okay? So she's got one dominant allele for brown eyes and one recessive allele for blue eyes, okay? So pause this, let's think about this. What color eyes is she going to have? It's going to be brown, okay, right? If those two are in a room together, who's going to win? Brown eyes, okay? The father he has the same exact alleles, okay? So he's got one brown, one blue. Again, let's think about this. What color eyes is dad going to have? Brown, okay? So mom and dad both have brown eyes. Now, without knowing what you know, I guess, your first instinct would be, oh, baby's going to have brown eyes. Duh. Brown plus brown equals brown, right? But, okay, heredity, not that simple, my friends. Okay, it is not that simple. Because even though mom and dad have brown eyes, there's still a chance that their child could have blue eyes just because they have those alleles. Okay, so what happens is we take a B. I'm not gonna do that. Okay. You take the uppercase B from here. Let's bring it down here. Okay. Then you take the uppercase B from here. Let's bring it here. So you kind of mix these two together. That's brown eyes. Okay? Then you take this one, bring it down. And you take this one, and you bring it down. Okay? Again, even though there's that blue there, it's still going to be a brown-eyed result. Okay? Same thing down here. You're going to take the top, bring it down here. Take this guy, bring it right here. Again, even though there's a blue available and there, still not, it's recessive. It's not, the brown is going to dominate over it. And then here, you're going to bring the blue, the baby blue, all the way down, and you're going to bring this blue all the way over here. Now look at this. Two lowercase b's, okay? Two lowercase b's, blue eyes. It's going to be a blue-eyed child if it happens to be here, okay? And why is that? Do you see any brown bees? No, the lion is far from here. He's gone. So now the mice can get together and woohoo, they win. Okay, it's because, their opponent never showed up. There's no brown. Okay, so now I'm really sorry. We're going back to probabilities. Okay, probabilities. You remember what probabilities mean. Okay, think about you can pause this, maybe email your math teacher real quick and say, hey, what does probabilities mean? I forgot, and Mrs. Davidson really wants to know. So what are probabilities, okay? How likely something will happen, okay? The cool thing about this is that it's usually up into quarters, okay? So this would be a 25% chance. This would be a 25% chance. This would be a 25% chance, and this would be a 25% chance. What is 25 plus 25 plus 25 plus 25? 100! Woohoo! Okay? So you don't have to worry about, 6.7%. Nope. Easy. 25, 50, 75, 100. Okay? So, how many? There are 4 possibilities. How many? There are 4 possibilities. How many are going to be brown-eyed? 1, 2, 3. Okay? That is 3 out of the 4. Now, what's another way of saying 3 out of 4 or 3/4? You can say 75%, right? So if this mother were to have a child with this father, there would be a 75% chance the child would have brown eyes and a 25% chance that the child would have blue eyes. Okay? So even though mom and dad, they both have brown eyes, there's still a 25% chance that there's going to be a blue-eyed child. Okay? So let's move on. All right, so I have a case study that we are going to talk about. Okay? And the case study, actually, if you want to read along, it's in page 104 of your book, Cells and Heredity. So Gregor Mendel, if you read before this, that's cool. If not, I'll kind of catch you up. So Gregor Mendel was an Austrian monk. Okay, you can see this is what he looks like. He kind of looks like a monk, right? He's got the outfit on. And he spent almost his whole life dedicated to pea plants. Okay, so you know, this is what a pea looks like, and the plant looks like this. It's got some really pretty flowers on them. So he dedicated his whole life to this. And I personally call it trait tracing. Okay, but basically he knew, and this was in the 1800s, guys. This was a long time ago, before we had, you know, access to microscopes and DNA testing and all this sort of stuff. So what happens is he realized that there were such things as dominant and recessive. Okay, he didn't know exactly what it meant, but he knew that sometimes, you know, like for example, on our back, he saw that a mother and father, both with brown eyes, they reproduced a child, and it happened to get blue eyes. And he saw that and was like, what the heck? That doesn't make any sense. Obviously now, we all, me and you guys, now we understand that there's a chance that there's a blue eyes, if they're present. Okay, but he didn't know that yet. So he used these pea plants, okay? And he actually crossbred them, and he did all sorts of things. Look at how many traits that he had. He worked with 4 different traits of the flowers, and he crossed them all over the place. And he was a very smart man, very organized, right? All right, so I'm going to explain this little chart for you, okay? Oh, and I also have the word math there. Okay, I have it there to scare you. No. Math, he used a ton of math. Are you surprised? What did I just do? Probabilities. Okay, probabilities, 25%. What's 3 divided by 4? All sorts of things. That's math, okay? So he used a lot of math. And he was also from the 1800s, again I say. So no, he did not have a calculator. So if you start to complain about this, just think about Gregor Mendel and that he did not have a calculator to do this. So the P means the parent, okay? And the F1 means the first generation, okay? So the result, okay? The offspring. And he would cross, for example, a purple colored flower from the pea plant with a white one. And turned out to be purple. So, take a second. Which one do you think was dominant? Probably purple. Okay, could you say 100%? No, you'd have to do a Punnett square to find out, which we didn't know that at the time. But he would have to do a Punnett square to find out. But he said, purple. Odd. Okay, the seed color, yellow or green? Yellow. The pod color, green or yellow? Green. Okay. So Gregor Mendel. I am not going to read this to you, but I would suggest that you read in your book from page 104 to page 105. Okay, so it's barely 2 pages. Easy read. He was a very interesting man. If you would like, we can maybe if you guys shoot me some questions about him, maybe I can find out a little bit more if you want to know anything about maybe his personal life or something, or you could do your own little research. He was a very interesting man, very smart for his time. Okay, so he was doing exactly what we were doing without a calculator. All right, so let's come back to our predictions. Okay, so we had our prediction. We learned some stuff. Now we're going to come back. Were we right? right, so I will quickly read this to you because we already read it. Fred, fantastic artist, loves to draw, commissioned by the town. Really awesome drawer. Inspiration, mother. She was an artist too. Remember, she was a cartoonist for the local newspaper. He thinks that his talent in art was passed on to him from his mother. You think that's true? Okay. Were you correct? What do you think now? Okay. Hopefully right now you're saying, nuh-uh, Fred, nuh-uh. Because we know, remember when we said inherited versus acquired traits? So inherited, you get that directly from your parents. That is from your parents' genes, your eye color, your height, your foot size, your ears, your nose, okay? And acquired is you learn it throughout your life, okay? So do you think that Fred was born with a paintbrush in his hand and was drawing by the age of 2 months? No, he learned it. He learned it throughout his life. He acquired that talent, okay? So hopefully now, it's okay if you got wrong before, but now that we have the information, we know, hey, actually, Fred, no, I'm sorry, but you learned that on your own, buddy. Good job. John and Marie are so excited. They are expecting a baby in January. John has blue eyes and Marie has brown. Marie's mother has brown eyes as well, but her father has blue eyes. Oh, I'm sorry. Too many blah, blah, blah. Marie believes that her child will definitely have blue eyes. Do we think that's true? Okay. Just to save some time, I'm not going to do a Punnett square right now. I'm going to do a different one later on. But we could do that. And since there's some blue and brown all mixed in there, do you think that 100% the baby will have blue eyes? Okay. It's okay if you put yes. It's okay if you put no over here. But right now, you should be thinking to yourself, not 100%. Not 100%. Why? Look at that. Even though he's got blue eyes, father has blue eyes, even though there's blue eyes there are definitely some brown alleles. And what happens when a brown allele is even present just by itself? It's going to be expressed. Remember, it is going to dominate. It's the lion. Okay, it's the king of the jungle. And red flowers are dominant and white flowers are recessive. Cool. Now we know what those words are. Awesome. So we made a prediction and we kind of knew what those meant, but now we're professionals. We know what that means. Cool. Let's answer this. Red flowers are dominant, white flowers are recessive. There is a 5 by 10 yard field that is completely covered in red flowers. All red flowers. This means there's no white flower alleles. Okay? It is okay if you put agree. It is okay if you put disagree. But now you should be thinking, that's not necessarily true. Okay? There could be a little lowercase b or a lowercase r or whatever letter we want to use. There could be a lowercase there. But if there's dominant there, it doesn't matter. Does not matter. If there's a mouse there, what are you going to see first when you walk in the room? You're going to see the lion. Okay? So, cool. Please, kind of, if you're still confused on why this is, we don't agree with this, why we don't agree with this, why we don't agree with this, you know, okay? All right, Punnett square practice. Yay! Punnett squares are they sound scary, they kind of look scary, it's a lot of math, right? A little frightening. Okay, so I am going to pause this real quick. Alrighty, sorry about that. I just wanted to make sure that the whiteboard little app thing, it's new. I haven't used it before, so I wanted to make it work. So there are 3 questions here that I would like you to answer today. Okay, but I'm going to do the first one for you / with you. Okay, so I guess you only have 2. I need these done by the next time we meet, okay, which will be a couple days from now. I would like you to try these on your own, and then at the beginning of class, we're going to figure out where'd you go wrong, what questions do you have, that sort of stuff. Because it's very easy. I am the same way. Sometimes I will listen to someone, a teacher or a boss or something. They will instruct me on how to do something, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like that looks so easy on the PowerPoint, right? And then they're like, okay, do it. I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do? Okay, so practice, 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 practice. Okay, so I gave you two. There will definitely be more practice later on because this will be a test. But let's start off easy, work our way up. Okay, but I am going to do the first one with you. Sorry, let me move me. All right, number one, guinea pigs. In guinea pigs, the allele for black fur is dominant. Okay, so black fur is dominant over the allele for brown fur. So black fur is the lion, brown fur is the little mouse. Okay, if you had two parent guinea pigs, each with brown fur, each of them has brown fur, what color might the offspring have and why? Okay. So, you might be thinking, oh, brown, done. Brown. I'm very sorry, and that is technically the correct answer, but not good enough. Okay? Gotta explain. So, told you it was working. All right, so we have two brown. Okay, I'm going to use a lowercase b for brown, and I will write this over here equals black. Oops, sorry, b was a little weird. And remember, the lowercase is brown. Okay. So you have two brown guinea pigs. I am very sorry. It's kind of hard to write with this. You have two brown guinea pigs. Now, what you need to do to find out probabilities and all that is make a Punnett square. But let's go back. Do you see anywhere on here? Do you see any letters, any capital letters, any lowercase letters? Do you see any? No. So, Mrs. Davidson, you forgot to put the alleles there. Duh. Okay. No, I did that on purpose, silly. So if they are brown, okay, remember brown is recessive. If they are brown, is there any chance that there's a capital B in there? No. If there was a capital B, that would be expressed somewhere, right? That would be expressed. But since there's no capital B, that has to be both of them recessive, right? So mom has to look like this, right? Two lowercase. Okay, because if she had any sort of uppercase in there, she would be black. Okay, and dad, he's the same way. He's brown too. Okay, so let's show how to set up a Punnett square. Even though this one's going to be easy, but like I said, I'd like to start you off easy. Make sure you get the hang of it. You don't need to bring out a ruler and make sure everything is all set. Like I said, it's a visual, it's a tool. Okay? You're supposed to use it, right? Think of your dad. Does he have a hammer? Is it like spotless? You know, if he's had it for years? No, he uses it. Okay? So I'm going to put mom on top. So mom, her first one is a lowercase b, her second one is a lowercase b. I'm going to put dad on the side. There is also a lowercase b and a lowercase b. All right, so I'm going to make this guy red. I'm going to make this guy blue. Okay. So first, what happens is I'm going to bring this guy down here. Okay, this is from mom. Then I'm going to bring this guy down here again. That's also from mom. Okay. Sorry, let me make this guy red. I am going to bring him down. Down. Okay. So if you notice, it goes all the way down. All the way down. Okay, we're not going diagonal, all the way down. Now, let's do dad. Okay, so dad is going to go on the side. Okay. So I'm going to bring him over. I'm going to bring him over. Oops. I'm going to bring him over. This guy over. Bring him over. right? So now we see there are 4 chances, okay? 4 possible possibilities for offspring, okay? Now, this guy, lowercase b, lowercase b. If the offspring were to look like this, what would it look like? Well, it would be brown, okay? What about this one, lowercase b, he would also be brown. Same thing here, and same thing here, okay? So out of the 4 chances, how many of them are going to be brown? Out of the 4 chances, well, it's going to be 4 out of 4. Or, how could you say that? 100%. Okay. You could also do the opposite. So let's say black. Okay, how many of those offspring are going to be black? Looks like 0, right? So 0 out of 4. How else could you say that? That's easy. 0. 0%. Okay? So let's go back to the question. Maybe? Okay. In guinea pigs, the allele for black fur is dominant over the allele for brown fur. You have guinea pigs, each with brown fur. What color might the offspring have and why? What color? It's going to be brown, right? You already saw that. Brown, 100%. It's going to be brown. Okay. Why? Well, when you do the probabilities, all 4 possibilities are brown. Okay, so why is this going to be like this? All 4 possibilities are brown, meaning 4 out of the 4 chances going to be brown, 100%. Okay. I am going to leave this up. I'm going to move me. So you have 2 choices. So you have to do numbers 2 and 3. You can do that on a Word doc. You can write it down and then take a picture. You can see, so that new little app that I had, it's called Ziteboard. It's a Chrome extension. Super easy to use once I figured it out. You have to go here. I couldn't find it, but you have to go here, and it'll be right here. You click on it, and it opens directly to this. You don't need to log on. You don't need to log in, anything like that. You can use this. Anything, honestly. I just want the answers. So numbers 2 and 3. So again, you have 2 options. If you have the PowerPoint brought up and you were following along with me, there you go. You can shut my video off and say, Mrs. Davidson, have a good day, goodbye. Or you can pause it right now, and maybe my face will be stuck in a weird position, and they're right here. Okay, so you have 2 places for you to find the questions. No excuses. There you are. You can turn it into Google Classroom. It'll be under the assignment tab. Okay. If you have any questions, please email me. I would be more than happy to set up a Zoom with you or a Google Meet with you, or I can email you back, or I can talk about it the next lesson, anything you need. Okay? Thanks, guys.